Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us for another Sunday morning on Faith in Our Hometown. We're always glad that you take some time out of your Sunday morning to join us. And I've been told by tons of people that many of you record the show and watch it later, which is good because that means you're in church on a Sunday morning, and that's always a good thing. All right. This morning, we're going to talk a little bit about legacies. And you know that many of you who've been watching the show for some time have been watching some of our commercials that we call our legacy commercials that Mercy produced to talk about the legacy of Mercy Hospital. But there's another legacy here in town, and that's the legacy that the Mercy Sisters actually started even before they started the hospital, and that's our Catholic schools. And so we're going to talk a little bit with our Catholic schools director, Ms. Georgiana McGriff, and she's going to be right back with me here in a moment to talk about that legacy and the legacy of our Catholic schools and a little bit about what's going on in that situation at this point in time. So we hope that you'll join us and stick with us, and we're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute. So stick around, grab a cup of coffee, and join us just in a minute.
Breast density is when you have more fibrous tissue and glandular tissue in your breast than fat. And so we are hearing more about dense breasts because, number one, it's a law that we tell women that they have dense breasts. We've known about dense breasts in the medical community for many years. But that's the difference. You know, there are some women who are very fatty replaced, have very fatty replaced breast, and there are some women who have very dense breast, meaning they have more fibroglandular tissue in that breast and less fat, therefore making it a little fuzzy on mammograms. So women with dense breasts have a modestly increased risk for breast cancer. However, it's not substantially increased. We have to just be more vigilant.
Well, again, thanks for joining us this morning for Faith in Our Hometown. My guest this morning, Georgiana McGriff, who's the director of the Joplin Area Catholic Schools, affectionately known to us as JACS. Okay?
Right.
So welcome, Georgiana. You were here once about a year ago. Talk a little bit about
I was.
something.
Yes.
Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about this these legacy commercials that our viewers have been seeing for some time, and that viewers in the greater Joplin area have seen whenever they see some of the Mercy commercials. And those are the stories about Catherine McAuley starting the Sisters of Mercy and that legacy. But what I sometimes, everybody knows Mercy because they see those Mercy signs all over town.
Right.
But what a lot of people don't realize is that before the hospital sisters came, it was actually the school sisters that invited the hospital sisters.
Right.
Our school sisters have been here for how long?
Well, 1885 is when they started the schools for Joplin Catholic schools, and I think it was St. Peter's then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
my predecessor invited the Mercies to come and work.
Well, right.
To run the school. Yeah.
You know, they educated many children. My father was one of those, not in 1885, but not too long after that. But yeah, that's quite a legacy with 132 years of Catholic education here in Joplin. Still alive, still strong, and still focusing on what the legacy the Sisters of Mercy left for us.
Yes, we do have one Sister Mercy who teaches in our schools. She gets around because she's most of the time at St. Peter's Middle School,
right? Religion,
which is kind of great where they started out. But also she sits foot in McAuley pretty often, and she also teaches a little bit over at the grade school, some art and some things like that over there.
Right, and I think just some library things. Yeah,
just kind of fun that we still got the Sisters of Mercy still in our system, which we're very proud of.
Absolutely.
132 years. Yeah. So, you know, in terms of that legacy, how do you see that playing itself out now in terms of the legacy that you all are trying to, that we all are trying to kind of live out in our Catholic schools?
Well, one of the things that we're doing now is I'm working a little more closely with the Mercy Health System. Mr. Pulsifer has been very generous, and many of his staff too have invited me. I took a Mercy tour a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago I guess, and we went to every one of the places where the Sisters of Mercy had an impact when they stepped off the train here in front of the Griffin building. But it was quite interesting to see all the different places they touched and how widespread their mission was. They came from, I think it was Kentucky,
Right.
and started the hospital, started the schools. The convent is gone now, but the things they left for us, those pillars of mercy, are service, stewardship, dignity, excellence, and justice. And we're trying to come back around and focus on those things as we educate our children in our school system. So with Mercy Health System leading the way there, we're joining with some of the things that the Sisters of Mercy started and that Mercy Health System still focuses on so heavily, and joining with them to, reintroduce maybe, strengthen those things, those pillars back in our school system. So we're pretty excited about this, good partnership. We've also got, starting next year at McAuley, we have a biomedicine program that Mercy is partnering with. Our high school science teacher is going to, she was going to go to Arizona. I'm not sure where it is. She couldn't make that one, but for training for that. And that's sponsored by our Mercy Health partners. So we're pretty excited about that with our health system.
Yeah. So in terms of this, Catherine McAuley, who founded the Sisters of Mercy in Ireland, did so thinking that she could, in a shorthand way of saying things, bring the healing mission of Jesus to the people that she would encounter. And those pillars that you mentioned were kind of the things that that the hospital system and anybody that works in the legacy, if you will, of Catherine McAuley have kind of pulled out of her thinking and her teaching. Obviously, they're connected to the Catholic tradition, to Christianity, to the scriptures, the Christian scriptures, and especially that way. But talk a little bit about those pillars for us.
Well, with dignity, we respect the dignity of every single human being, all created in the image of Jesus Christ. And we try to look at, at our school system, we're focused, our main focus is our faith, is faith. And so we try to look at every individual child created by God, and that child has certain strengths. I'll use an easy example. Some kids are better at math, some kids are better at writing. And you focus on that child's strengths, and you try to get him or her to be the best he can at what he's good at. And then obviously faith is the most important. We try to get all of our kids to heaven and to be good. And then we have service. We focus on, especially with the poor, we focus on a lot of service hours, and we do a lot of service activities. We've got some kids, I think they're just back from a mission trip. We do different things during the year. And then, let's see, which one did I already mention?
Dignity is what you meant, you're right.
Okay. And then we had stewardship. And with stewardship, we try to focus on strengthening the church, whatever we need to do to strengthen the mission of the church. That's the stewardship one. Excellence, I kind of mentioned that one a little bit before we.
And I'm just going to toss this in terms of the stewardship part.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously, the biblical thinking behind that is that everyone's given certain gifts by God, and God expects us to make a return on some of those gifts in terms of that. So strengthening the mission of the church, strengthening the, even our own community here in terms of the things that they do. I mean, not just taking care of Catholic stuff, but the larger community and all those things.
Very good. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's excellence. Trying to be the best at what we do. Trying to focus on whatever we do, whatever it is that we're doing. We try to be excellent at. Not perfect, but excellent. Always striving to be better. And then let's see, what's the last one? Stewardship, service, excellence, dignity, and justice.
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 Okay. Yeah.
Justice for everyone. Justice for every single human being, with a special focus on the needs of the poor. And in our system, if there's someone who wants to go to Catholic schools, we will do, and they can't afford it, we will do whatever we can to provide them an education.
Yeah.
So.
And justice in terms of, and this gets tricky because, there's that whole issue of how do we make our society more just?
Yeah.
And that's sometimes kind of hard,
It is.
especially when we don't always think in the most just ways, as a society. And again, the church is just as guilty as our society too, you know, in terms of sometimes not always being right, you know, with God, you know, and right with each other. Yeah.
It has to be, one of the things I think that we do a very good job of, but it's never ending, is it's a constant focus on pulling it back to our faith, pulling it back to the teachings of the church. And it's the, you know, the old, what would Jesus do? That's what prevails in everything that we do with our teachers, with our students, with everyone. What would Jesus do? And that's what we try to focus on.
Yeah. And again, by the same term, I mean, you know, I always say, and I know we've had this conversation before, but I always say, you know, we're not out to compete with the public school system. We really can't. No. We don't have the resources. We don't have all those things. I think we provide a very good regular education for our kids, but what makes our schools unique, obviously, is that faith perspective.
Right.
You know, where we can, if you will, kind of teach religion across the curriculum, if you will, and talk about how all those different things that we learn can inform us and inform our lives as people of faith and how we respond in some of those ways.
Well, one of the things that I found, you know, this will be my third year coming up, but one of the things that I found interesting is looking at the Catholic educational standards and seeing how Catholicism and faith influences art and math and science, and what we try to do is see the beauty of the world in every area. You know, all those, it's very interesting. You wouldn't think, so how do you teach faith when you're teaching math?
Go ahead, answer that question.
Right.
That was going to be my question to you to talk about a little bit.
Well, you see the fact, and you see the logic, and you see the beauty and the truth. You see the truth in that mathematical, I guess, formula, and you can pull it all the way back to the truth that this is the way it is. 2 + 2 is a truth, and so from the Bible there are truths that come. And so you can relate that to everything. It's amazing. We ought to have a conversation about some of those, just with the Catholic standards, and look at those. You know, with the environment, one of the things that the Sisters of Mercy focus on is taking care of our environment.
It's part of the justice thing. I mean, you can't mistreat the earth and call yourself a just person.
No.
You know.
No. But,
or a godly person, really.
Recycling, little, you know, things like that you know, that are so very important. And those are some of the things that we focus on as we're trying to teach. Taking care of ourselves, taking care of the world, taking care of the environment, taking care of each other. You know, very nice, very, very beautiful with our faith.
Yeah, and again, you know, I know that a lot of those, I know that there are values inherent in the public school system, and there's values inherent for anybody that shares them. The beauty of our schools is the fact that we get to talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and we get to pray, and we get to focus everything back, and get our kids to look at the fact that Jesus is a part of the day, and pray with them throughout the day, and to do those things. And so for us, we're blessed in that regard. Again, my guest this morning, Georgiana McGriff, who's the system director for the Joplin area Catholic schools. Georgiana started talking with us this morning about the legacy that the Sisters of Mercy have left, especially in our Catholic education system here in the greater Joplin area. And so we are going to be right back after a real short break. Stick around and don't go away.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
I was laughing, Georgiana, over the break. You were saying, well, I also wanted to mention that, you know, we have some non-Catholic kids that go to our school too. And I'm just like, yes, we do. And we'll take more if they want to come.
Yes,
but again, we would say to anybody that comes, it's just like, we'd love to have you and share what we have with you. But obviously, we're going to do our thing.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
You know, and do it the way that we think it needs to be done too.
Sure.
Yeah.
We do have non-Catholic students, several as a matter of fact. We've got one family that has 4 kids. They were all at the middle school, but talked to the father earlier this year, and he said it's one of the best things that they ever did for their kids. But obviously, we still say Catholic prayers. We make the sign of the cross. We say the rosary. We crown Mary in May, and it's still Catholic education. But it's what's so good about it is you don't have to be Catholic to go to the Catholic schools. Right. We accept anyone, but obviously it's a Catholic school.
Yeah, and also a little shout out. I know we got some of the kids coming over from our local Lutheran schools too.
We do.
They don't have a high school here in our area.
Right.
And so we're very happy that they're joining us in that prospect. And again, they'll have to take our religion classes, but I've offered them classroom space if they want to teach their kids. In the morning.
Yeah.
If they want to do something different, they want to teach their own catechism. That's
sure.
Okay by us. We just know we've got to teach when we're doing our regular classes and things like that.
Sure.
So Georgiana, let's talk a little bit about this, the new biomedical program that they're going to start, and that Mercy is helping us kind of get rolling here. What's that going to be like? What's that going to be about?
Well, it's a program designed by a group called Project Lead the Way, and there are other schools around here that have this same program. One of the good things about this program is that it's going to focus on health, and what you'll end up doing when you graduate from high school is you will have a certified nurse assistant certificate. You'll have a certificate. It's very rigorous. The training is very rigorous for the teacher. You have to follow certain standards, and every child at the high school doesn't have to take this, but what it does is it provides all the science requirements through the high school years. We meet every standard, every requirement within that curriculum. It's a very scripted curriculum. One class follows the other, one objective follows the other, and we build on the basics of the program, and then it's like growing. You have to do this before you can do this, and you have to master things at a certain level. So that biomedical program we thought would be perfect, something very good for Mercy to help us with, and they have been so gracious to do that. We're very excited about it, and the kids are too.
Yeah, and not every kid's going to want to do a health profession, when they get older.
Right.
But still, there's so much to learn about the mystery of the human body and all those kinds of things. For them to get some of that is going to be, good, and cover some of their science curriculum all at the same time.
Right. Yeah. It's a very good program. Very solid.
Well, and again, like I say, I know I've talked to several of the students, now I think those are some of the ones, especially the ones that have that eye toward, health professions, going into nursing or medical school or those kinds of things. They're really kind of excited that they're going to get a chance to do some of these things.
Yeah, I think one of the really exciting things about this is it's project based. It's like you'll start with a cadaver, let's say, and you'll go through several lessons that build on one another, and everything is you do things. It's very hands-on, obviously with healthcare, very hands-on. We have to have special equipment, like I said, special training. But I think once some of the kids get into the program, I think we'll see more join. So, and you don't have to be going into the health profession or even think, and a lot of kids don't know by the time, even when they're in high school, what they're going to do. But like I said, it still covers your science standards, and then you end up with those covered. You learn a lot, you have fun because it's all project based. So it'll be exciting. We're excited to get it started this fall.
And again, to tie back into those pillars, of Mercy, again, why do we care for the human person? We care for each human person because, they were made in the image and the likeness of God, and we're going to make sure that all are, given the opportunity for good care, and we hope and pray for healing for all of them, which we do with all of our, compassion and healing.
Yes.
Which is an important thing.
Yes.
So what other good things you got going on at Catholic schools? I mean, I got you on here. You might as well go ahead and brag a little bit.
Well, let's see. We just had our annual school auction, and it was the biggest one we've ever had. Cleared over $150,000, so we're very excited about that. Had a lot of support, had a great auction committee, had a very good capital campaign. We have a new elementary principal starting in the fall, and let's see, we've moved enrollment deadlines up. We've got quite a few kids enrolled already. That's pretty exciting. A few new coaching positions, a couple of new teacher positions that we're excited about. We've got a few teachers coming back because they are so dedicated. We have several alumni that are teaching now. They're very proud to be back teaching in their alma mater. We're rebuilding the Grotto this summer.
For anybody that was around in the quote good old days, and this is long before I ever came to Joplin, but one of the things when we expanded the high school many years ago, you know, like I say, some of those things like the old convent where the Sisters of Mercy used to live,
right?
You know, it came down, so we just got a few pieces left here and there. I always laugh every time I'm over at 1201, we get to see some of the pieces of the old Mercy
right.
Hospitals and pieces like that. You know, then there's you know, so we had the Grotto was one of those things that again, unfortunately, kind of disappeared because we had to put a building where the Grotto was standing.
Right.
Yeah, so the Grotto, for anybody that doesn't know what a grotto is, the Grotto is, you know, was kind of like this big stone cave-looking thing, where we would traditionally have an image of Mary, our mother in faith, you know, the mother of Jesus, and so we always ask for her prayers for us. So it's kind of like, all right, you know, pray for us, and you know, pray for us while we're praying for us too. It's kind of our tradition, and like we ask each other to pray for each other, and so we always do that, especially with Mary, our mother in faith. And so we're going to rebuild that and put a new, of course, it'll be in a different spot, but you know, that was an old landmark in that part of in that part of town, and of course, you know, we had to take it down when we expanded and built. Now we're going to put something back up to kind of replace it, which I think will be kind of fun.
I think a lot of people are very excited. The alumni group is very excited about that. We got a new roof on the gym, so we're very excited about that. It hasn't leaked, and it's been about a year. And we got a new floor in the high school gym, new paint, new carpet, a lot of building things, new lights on the parking lot, LED lights. You know, we've looked at a lot of physical things and improved a lot of those things. So new facelift.
Well, you know, it's interesting. When you've been around 132 years, you got a lot of maintenance that, you know, that goes on because, you know, not everything is necessarily all bright and shiny and new, but we certainly got the history to go with it. And I mean, of course, being at St. Peter's, same thing. I mean, you know, I live in a house that's and now I guess 101 years old or 102 years old, and you know, and the church is even older. So it's like, you know, so you do those projects and you kind of have to, you know, realize that okay, it's going to take a little bit to take care of some of these older structures. Yeah,
the lighting. You know, we had a group of people very dedicated to putting new lighting inside the building. You know, it was dim, it wasn't well lit, and now it's bright. The walls look better. We redid the trophy cases, so a new tile in the bathrooms, new paint in the bathrooms. It's very pretty, very nice.
Yeah, and again, we're used to it, but sometimes when folks who come in from the outside will look at that, they'll just be like, and now we're not looking quite as worn. We were one of the oldest. We're one of the oldest continuing to function and operate school buildings in the area, and we just don't want to look like the oldest, you know, as such that it is. But but good things going on there too. So lots of exciting things. Say a little bit of our new principal. I know. We just, like I say, we just as it happened, one of our old principals retired. She's a good lady. Worked with us for several years. Again, retired from public school system. Right. And but she decided it was time to retire again. So she went ahead and did that. And so we went out and found another faith-filled woman to fill that spot.
Right. Her name is Joanne Lown. She lives in Carthage. She has been recently teaching first grade at Thomas Jefferson. Started teaching, I think, several years ago in Webb City public schools, I think high school, maybe social studies, and has been teaching elementary at Thomas Jefferson. She's a St. Peter's parishioner, very dedicated, very excited, very, very dedicated teacher. And she's very excited to be here, so we're excited to have her. She's going to be a great part of our team. We're going through, we're going to start some adaptive schools conference Wednesday and Thursday, and then another 2 days. So our administrators are going to go to that conference and just look at some things that are that maybe could help us. We've got a lot of new technology. We're trying to update our computers. We've got a couple of ladies that have been very dedicated in writing grants for us, and we've been very blessed with their volunteering to get some good grants, and so we're updating our technology. So we're excited to see that too.
A lot of this is in, again, this legacy of a long tradition that we've run in the schools in the Catholic Church. Again, the early pastor we had evidently way back in the early history of St. Peter's, we had this succession of teachers, and they wouldn't stay, and or they'd there were single women who then would get married and leave to have their own family, or and all those things which you can expect. And so that was the reason why one of my predecessors went out and said, I got to find a group of religious to come in to do this. Well, the evolution of that is that now those religious are not doing it anymore, but we have a great, we got one Mercy left in our school system, but the rest are dedicated lay men and women of faith, and I'm just really proud of the job that you all do on our behalf. I think it's terrific. We're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute, so don't go away. Thanks for joining us this morning, Georgiana.
Thank you, Father Jay.
A new baby changes the world and each of us. The Sisters of Mercy devoted themselves to offering exceptional maternity and delivery care, training generations of nurses to do the same. Mercy continues to answer the same call, to not only care for your baby, but to cherish them too. Mercy, in every era, your life is our life's work. Learn why we serve at mercy.net/legacy. Everyone on board dreamed of a new life in America. The Sisters of Mercy had a different dream, to serve all who had need. From the first hospital Sister Frances Ward built to the world's first virtual care center, we continue to answer the same call, to bring mercy home to you. Mercy, in every era, your life is our life's work. Learn why we serve at mercy.net/legacy.
Well, thanks for indulging us a little bit this morning. I guess this morning I was kind of proud to kind of share a little bit of the Catholic legacy. We're also always grateful to Mercy for sponsoring our show and for continuing to make it possible for us to be on the air. And so when we talk about the mercy of the legacy of Mercy, which those commercials you just saw were part of that legacy. Many years ago, again, the Catholics in this area wanted somebody to teach their children, and then those teaching sisters saw that when the miners got hurt, they didn't often make it back from Fort Scott, and so they invited the nursing sisters to come in to be part of that whole thing as well. So then we not only had the teaching sisters, but we also had the hospital sisters. And I just keep thinking to myself, I'm kind of proud of the fact that we would look very different if the Sisters of Mercy had not come to this town and helped us with so much for so long and in so many different ways. That is truly a legacy, and we're so grateful to be a part of it. Please join us next week for Faith in Our Hometown. God bless. Have a great Sunday.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.